Welcome to our virtual yoga class. We will begin class by laying on our back. So take a moment to make your way back on the mat, legs long, and hands can rest either on your belly, your chest, or your hands can frame your hips, palms faced up towards the ceiling. Inhale here, you can exhale side out. We'll invite a body scan. Noticing the back of your head, neck, shoulders, down the length of your spine, to your hips, to your toes. And inviting a full, deep belly breath, belly expands. And exhale, release. Always optional to sigh out. Now, I recommend these strong exhales so that we start shifting our attention back to our bodies. When we sigh out, we have that immediate sensation of relief, of letting go, releasing tension through our breath. Inhale, exhale, sigh it out. Part of our practice is to slow down and use our breath as a focusing tool of bridging that physical, mental, emotional body. Another deep belly breath here. Optional exhale, sigh it out. We'll start to shift our position by bringing both soles of the feet together. So you're laying on your back, soles of the feet touch. There are different ways to place your hands. Hands can frame your hips, palms up towards the ceiling. Or you can take your hands to rest on your belly, your chest. You can also lift your arms overhead, backs of the hands on the floor, elbows bent. So there's a little bit more of an arch to your spine here. Now, as you're here, you're purposely softening throughout the back, especially around the hips, perhaps imagining your knees fall further towards the floor. Once again, deep belly breath. You have access to that full diaphragm breathing here. That means your belly can fully expand here, much more comfortably than, for example, in a twist or a forward fold. And then remind yourself what your full breath is like. This is the same full breath you can go back to throughout your day. And we'll practice that breath throughout the class as we work on our strength, flexibility, balance, whether individually or in combination. What does your full breath feel like? What is the experience of it? Two more breaths here. Inhale and exhale, side out. Start to lengthen your legs. We'll bend our right knee, lengthen our right leg up towards the ceiling. Interlace your fingers right behind your knee and your thigh. Let's focus on our ankles, tops of the feet, toes, heels. We tend to not place attention here, yet we ground ourselves through our feet. Open the toes, the ankles, heels, balls of the feet. So you can point your heel up towards the ceiling. You can continue these rotations clockwise, counterclockwise. A few moments here. And then we'll start to shift our attention more towards our hamstrings. So you bring your thigh closer towards your belly or chest. You can have a little bend to your knee, or you can lengthen your leg as much as you can. Either remain here or sway your leg towards the right. You can remain here or towards the left. By doing so, you're going to notice that stretch shifts from the hamstrings deeper into the hips, glutes, even your lower back. You're also opening throughout the calf muscle, especially if you're flexing that heel up towards the ceiling. So we'll take a few moments here. You're gently activating the core, especially if you're pressing your left foot towards the front. And then use your breath to assist you. This is a holistic yoga practice. So our breath is not in the background, our breath is in the forefront. We're inviting our breath to assist us to deepen into the stretch, deepen into whatever's opening for you. We tend to be very tight around our lower body, our hamstrings. Take a moment here to prepare us for the rest of the class. Three breaths here. Inhale, exhale. Being mindful of softening the neck and shoulders simultaneously as you're here. And then practicing slow, mindful movements, slowly release your heel down towards the floor. So you're moving so slowly that you're activating the core here, perhaps some glute strength and quad strength. Heel touches the floor, take a breath. Continuously throughout the class, we're arriving to our breath. And then start to bend your left knee, lengthen your left leg up towards the ceiling, interlace your fingers right behind your thigh or behind your knee. We're focusing first on our ankle, heels, toes, balls of our foot, or the ball of the foot. And you do that just by rotating the ankle, spreading the toes, lifting the heel up towards the ceiling, pointing your toes downwards towards you. So any number of these. And then after a moment here or two, start to shift that attention into the hamstring. So that's simply by bringing your thigh a little bit closer towards you, perhaps lengthening the leg, even though you can always have a bend to your knee, a micro bend or a more generous bend. Inhale, exhale. You can sway your leg towards the left, towards the right. It's gonna shift the stretch. It'll still remain around the hamstrings, but we'll shift it a little bit more into the hips, lower back, glutes. Breathe into what's opening for you. So you're inviting the breath an intentional breath, and during the duration of that breath, you're also noticing the stretch. Notice where your boundary is and see if you can shift or push back that boundary a little bit. It can be very subtle and it doesn't have to be painful. Three more breaths here. Inhale, exhale. Perhaps inviting a full deep belly breath, belly expands. Once again, arriving to the breath. We'll practice those slow, mindful movements by slowly releasing your heel back down towards the floor. You're activating the core strength, glute strength, quad strength here. Release that left heel onto the floor. On an inhale, let's lift our arms up overhead, full body stretch. We're interlacing our fingers, lifting our abdomen up towards the ceiling. Gentle stretch throughout the lower back and spine, throughout the shoulders and arms. And still stretch down to your feet by pointing your toes. And now release your hands. Bend both knees. Rest your left ankle on top of your right thigh. Weave your left hand between your legs. Interlace your fingers behind your right knee and hold. You're focusing on the stretch around the left hip. You can bring your thigh closer towards your belly, your chest for a deeper stretch. Notice where your boundary is. Breathe into that boundary. One more breath here. And then release. Opposite side, rest your right ankle right on top of your thigh. Weave your right hand between your legs. Interlace your fingers behind that left thigh. Focus on your right hip. Deep belly breath. Neck and shoulders remain soft. Two more breaths here. And then release, bend both knees, round your spine, forehead toward your knee, chin towards chest, hold. And then release. We'll go ahead and lift up, sit in a cross-legged position. Just a few stretches here in our upper body. We'll lift our arms up overhead, interlace our fingers, palms up, stretch towards the left, and hold. Chin is neutral. Come back to center, opposite side. Back to center, and then release your hands right behind your head. Twist a few times towards the left and towards the right. Make sure your elbows press a little bit more towards the back of the rainbow here. So you're bringing your shoulder blades a little bit closer together, opening up throughout the shoulder blades, shoulders. You're also stretching and opening throughout the spine, throughout the back, twisting towards the right and towards the left. You can hold one side a little longer if it requires extra attention. A few more times here, maybe 2 more times to the right, 2 more times to the left. And then you can start to release. Release your hands. We'll shift into our forward fold. Double check your feet. So your feet aren't too close together and they're not too spread out either. So your feet are about hips width distance apart. There's a good bend to your knee, and then relax your neck, relax your torso here. Hold. And then on an inhale, press through your heels. We're going to lift our arms up overhead. You're grounding through your heels. Once again, returning to your breath, returning to your body. Hands in front of our heart center, eyes can be closed. We inhale here, exhale, sigh it out. Second cycle of breath, inhale here, exhale, sigh it out. And then third cycle of breath, inhale here, exhale. And then start to release your hands. Inhale, lift your arms up overhead, palms up towards the ceiling. We're lifting your heels halfway or all the way up. Keep your gaze steady. Find a point across the floor or the room. Notice what in this pose requires effort and then what requires ease. Notice the paradox of that energy in your body. Welcome an even breath. Don't forget your breath here. And then release your hands, interlace your fingers behind you, draw your shoulder blades closer together. You can lift your gaze up towards the ceiling. And invite a bend to your knees. You're going to fold all the way down to our forward fold. Elbows extend behind us. I'm purposely bringing my shoulder blades together. I'm lifting my tailbone, I'm deepening and dropping my belly towards my thighs. My head is relaxed. Hands to your shins. We're going to inhale halfway up, slide your shoulders back. Back is flat. Exhale, release, and neck is soft. 2 more times. After that third round, we're going to slowly roll up to standing. Your head comes up last. Notice that physical sensation of letting go throughout your torso, your arms. Distribute that weight onto your heels, your feet, mountain pose, hands frame our hips. 1 breath, inhale here, exhale, sigh it out. Bring your arms out to a T. Keep your hips squared towards the front as much as you can. Twist towards the right. You're taking your gaze over that right hand. Simultaneously, do your best to keep your hips squared towards the front of the room. Back to center, opposite side, twist towards the left. And then release, come back to center. Sun salutation, we're gonna lift our arms up overhead. Exhale, bend your knees, fold down, forward fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release, step back into your plank pose. Your hands are beneath your shoulders. You're lifting your core up towards the ceiling. Release down towards the floor. Inhale up. You're extending throughout the spine. Tops of the feet are on the floor. Downward facing dog. We lift our hips as high as we can. We ground through our palms. As we ground through our palms, we bring our chest closer towards our thighs. Take your gaze between your hands. Walk or jump up to that forward fold. Let's take our hands to our shins. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release. Let's inhale, sweep our arms up overhead. Hands meet in front of our heart center. We're preparing for 2 more sun salutations. Release your hands. Inhale, up. Exhale, bend your knees, full down, forward fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release, step back into your plank pose. Activating your core strength, glute strength, release down towards the floor. Hands remain close to your chest here. Lift up, upward facing dog. Curl your toes, downward facing dog. You always have the option to move into a tabletop versus a downward facing dog. Take your gaze between your hands, walk or jump up to that forward fold. Anytime you lift to standing, it's a good time to reset, to arrive to your breath, arrive to your body. Inhale here, you can exhale, sigh it out. Third sun salutation, release your hands, arms lift. Exhale, release, fold down, making sure you're softening the neck here. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release, step back, plank pose. Release down towards the floor. Press with your palms, upward facing dog. And then we meet at our downward facing dog. Remain here in your down dog. Lift to that right leg, bend your right knee, stack your hips. Right knee towards that right elbow, hover. Lift your leg, bend your knee, stack your hips. And then release your foot down towards the floor, invite a generous breath. And then prepare, lift your left leg, bend your left knee, stack your hips. Left knee towards that left elbow, hover. Lift your leg, bend your knees, stack your hips, and invite a generous breath. Full body is activated here. And then release your foot back down towards the floor. And then we'll step down into a child's pose. About 5 breaths. You don't necessarily have to count the breath. Just enough to allow yourself to soften, open up your hips. If you ever have trouble concentrating, just increase your inhale and exhale a little longer than you're accustomed to. And then after that next breath, you can start to release that child's pose. We'll shift into a tabletop, making sure our hands are beneath our shoulders and then our knees are right, about hips width distance apart. Press that left hand onto the floor, lift your right arm up towards the ceiling. And then release, drop that hand on the floor. Opposite side, lift your left arm up. And release, lift up, downward facing dog. You can pedal your feet back and forth here if you want a deeper opening around the hips and the hamstrings. You can pedal quickly, slowly, or slowly. And now take your gaze right between your hands. Walk or jump up to that forward fold. Press that left hand onto the floor. Bend that left knee generously. Lift your right arm up towards the ceiling. Don't forget a full breath here. Lengthen that right leg for a deeper stretch there around the hamstrings and hips. And release. Opposite hand, right hand on the floor. Lift your left arm up towards the ceiling. Lengthen your left leg for a deeper stretch. It can be subtle. Release your hand. Your choice how you come up to standing. You can roll up slowly or sweep your arms up overhead. Whichever supports you right now. Make this your practice. Spine long, eyes open or closed. Either mountain pose, hands framing your hips, or hands in front of your heart center. We're going to inhale here and exhale. Again, practicing arriving to our breath. Inhaling and exhaling for the day we've had. Inhaling and exhaling for this moment. And inhaling and exhaling for the rest of our day. If your eyes are closed, you can start to open your eyes, release your hands. We'll start to prepare for our tree pose. So start to pick up your feet on the mat, just testing your heels, noticing the balls of your feet. We're coming into balance, and any of these balances, you want to notice that paradox of effort and ease. Rest your left heel on your ankle, and then start to bring that foot. You can remain here, activating core strength. You can start to bring that foot a little higher towards your shin, or you can bring your foot even higher using your hands to assist you here. Different positions are here with your hands. Hands can be in front of your heart center. Hands can frame your hips. You can lift your arms up overhead. Keep your gaze steady, and then keep a steady breath as well. Sometimes our breath will shorten in these balance poses. We're also noticing that paradox where our body is still, but it's also not very still either. Notice those little fluctuations, those shifts in the body. There's still a lot of movement in your tree pose. Stillness and chaos together. Steady breath. Core is active. Engage your glutes for extra support. Root down through your heel on the floor. And then start to release. Pedal your feet back and forth here. And then opposite side. Well, actually, first let's sweep our arms up. Exhale, bend our knees, fold down into our forward fold. 3 rounds. Let's inhale halfway up. Exhale, release. Inhale halfway up. Exhale, release. And now the next round, slowly roll up or sweep your arms up overhead. And then we'll prepare for balance on the opposite side. This time, right heel rests against your ankle. When you're ready, you can bring that foot a little bit higher to your shin. Feel free to remain here. Or bring your foot up towards your thigh to press against your thigh. Gaze is steady here. Calm breath. And then release your hands, release your hold. Chair pose, to contrast that, very grounded pose, glutes and quads are active. Very different experience than our tree pose here. Your arms radiate forward. You're lifting your tailbone here. You can always sit a little deeper into your seat for more of a challenge. Bend your knees, fold down, forward fold. Let's inhale halfway up. Exhale, release, and then step back into your downward facing dog here. Deep belly breath here in your downward facing dog. And then release your knees down towards the floor. We'll shift to sit, lengthening our legs out in front. We're going to lengthen our left leg, bend our right knee. Now as you're here, lengthen the spine. We have a tendency to collapse. You're lengthening the spine, flexing that left foot. Take your left arm out, twist towards the right. So your elbow hooks onto that knee, spine long. Take your chin towards your right shoulder. Chin is neutral. Left leg is still active. You're pressing out through that left foot. And then release. Opposite side. Now lengthen that right leg, bend your left knee. You're gonna take your right arm out, purposely lengthen your spine here, twist towards the left, pressing through that right foot. Taking your chin towards your left shoulder. And then release. Bring both soles of the feet together and then pull down. Notice where your boundary is. Breathe into that boundary. See if you can fold just a little bit more. 5 more breaths here. Inhale here, exhale. And then release. Lengthen both legs out in front. Palms up towards the ceiling. Slowly release down towards the floor. Head comes on the floor. Take a breath. Inhale here, exhale, side out. We'll bend both knees and then grab the soles of your feet with your hands. Get a final stretch here throughout the ankles. Lengthen your legs here as much as you can. You can bend your knees, one knee more than the other. You can rock to the left, to the right. Take a few moments here. Toes and ankles, calves, hamstrings, hips, lower back, even your mid back. You rock towards the left and towards the right. And then after a moment there, start to release your legs and we'll prepare for our final resting pose. Lengthen your legs out, palms face the ceiling. Take one deep belly breath here, that same breath you practiced in the beginning of class. And then you can let your breath go back to its natural rhythm. You have the choice to either continue practicing some deep, full breathing that takes a lot of practice, or you can allow your breath to be natural, no control of the breath. And this final resting pose is your opportunity to be, to have no expectations of the self, to not have to perform, to do. It's a pose that teaches us the wisdom of doing nothing. Do soften around your forehead and jaw, neck and shoulders. Down the length of your arms to your wrists, palms, and fingertips. You can imagine those fingertips float just a little bit more. And then soften the upper back, mid back, lower back. Down to your hips, behind your knees, to your ankles, to your toes. Softening, letting go, observing sensations, thoughts without judgment, just noticing. And then we'll start to shift our attention back to our breath, inviting a generous and leisurely breath, restoring some movement to our fingertips and toes. You have the option of inviting a full body stretch, lifting your arms up overhead, pointing your toes, and or turning your body to the left or to the right. Once again, inviting a generous and a leisurely breath. And after another breath or two, start to slowly make your way up to your seat. You've been practicing presence and awareness throughout the class, so make whatever subtle adjustments you can make that show that extra bit of awareness and attention. And then we'll take a moment to recognize that when we appreciate our breath, we welcome our experience, whatever it may be. So, with that in mind, let's take our hands in front of our heart center and then invite a generous breath and gratitude. Let's inhale here and exhale. And in the tradition of yoga, the highest in me sees the highest in you. Namaste.